Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Love is Blind review, so let's just get right into it because a lot happened in this episode. So this episode of Love is Blind picks right up at Emma and Mike's wedding, and we know that Emma did end up saying yes to marrying Mike, which I was a little bit surprised about. Not too surprised, but it did surprise me just a little bit because I just felt like the pressure of him wanting to have children so badly and her being unsure would have made her say no. Now, it was Mike's turn to answer whether or not he wanted to marry Emma or not, and honestly, I was not surprised that he ended up saying no. I knew that he was going to say no to Emma from the moment they stepped foot out of those pods because they just wanted two completely different things. And if I'm being honest, I don't feel like they should have even made it out of the pods together because of the fact that they wanted two different things. It made me feel like Mike just wanted to go through this process because if he knew that having children was non-negotiable for him, why would you propose to a woman in the pods who said that she didn't think that she wanted to have children? And then all throughout the time that they were together through this process, she was still unsure if she actually wanted to have them. And so knowing that, I don't understand why he dragged it out this long. However, we do know that this is reality TV, and the point of this show is to make it to the altar and decide at the altar whether or not you want to end things or not. Now, it was Jordan and Amber's wedding day, and honestly, this was my favorite couple this season. It would have been Vic and Christine, but we didn't get to see a lot of them this season for some reason, so it was definitely Jordan and Amber for me. And Amber's family seemed to be really happy for her while she was getting ready for the wedding. They were telling her that they were so happy that she finally found a good man because apparently she's had a lot of bad toxic relationships, and at some point they thought that she would never end up getting married, but she said that Jordan has been very different. This has been a good experience for her, so I was definitely happy for her too. And then she told her family about the meeting that Jordan had with her daughter Emma, and she said that it went well. It did take a moment for her daughter to warm up to him, and obviously that's going to happen because she doesn't know this man, but eventually she did warm up to Jordan. But right before she walked down the aisle, her brother actually told her that he didn't think that both of them would say yes. Amber's brother just felt like, Jordan probably wanted more time to think about what he wanted to do in the next steps in the relationship, and so that's why he felt like Jordan would have said no. However, that is definitely not what somebody wants to hear right before they end up walking down the aisle. However, I don't feel like her brother meant any harm by saying that. Jordan ended up having a meeting with his family before walking down the aisle, and basically he was really nervous. He did say that he enjoyed meeting Amber's daughter, but he was so nervous. Like, I don't know if he was nervous because he was about to get married, or if he was nervous because he didn't know if he was making the right decision, or if he felt like things were moving too fast. But he was a lot more visibly nervous than Amber was. And that's why I didn't know what Jordan was going to say once it was time for him to answer the question. Now, Amber's daughter was so adorable. She walked down the aisle. She was the little flower girl. You can definitely tell she was a little bit nervous. Maybe she was camera shy, or maybe she was just nervous because she knew things were about to change. Even though she's a little girl, she knows that if her mother gets married, things are going to change in her life. So maybe that was why she was so nervous. I don't know. But it seemed like to me that Jordan didn't really prepare himself to say yes, because when it was time for him to say his vows to Amber, he really didn't say anything. All he said was that he loved her and that he was happy that it was her standing next to him at the altar, but he really didn't say anything else. Now, Amber did end up saying I do, which she said before she walked down the aisle. She told her family that she had no doubts about Jordan, but she didn't know if he was going to say yes to her. And even after she said I do, she told Jordan that she understands if he says no because she has a lot going on, meaning she has a daughter. And I felt kind of bad when she did that because it was like she was bracing herself for him to say no and to reject her because she has a child, and that was sad to watch. But Jordan did end up saying I do, and I was happy for them because obviously this was my favorite couple, and I hope that things work out between the two of them. But from some of the rumors going around and that little clip from the reunion, I don't know if things actually ended up working out. Now, Devonte and Britney were supposed to get married just like everybody else, but they didn't actually end up going through with the wedding because Devonte ended up calling it off. And look, I'll say this before I say anything bad about Devonte. I do like the fact that he didn't drag her down the aisle because she did say that it was her biggest fear to get down that aisle and be told no in front of all of her family and friends, so I'm glad that he did not do that. However, he should have ended things with Britney a long time ago. He should have ended things with Brittany in Mexico when he saw her and realized that he was not interested in her, and then he was treating her some type of way. I feel like they should have ended things then. Honestly, I feel like Brittany should have ended things as well, because why would you stay with a guy who's giving you crumbs? And he claims that the reason why he called off the wedding is because he didn't feel like he could give Brittany the love that she wanted to get from him. But I don't think that he's incapable of giving Brittany love and attention. I just don't think that she's the woman he wants to give love and attention to. And I'm sorry, but I was cringing watching how desperate Brittany was acting. Like, you can definitely tell that being married was something that she really wanted, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to get married married. But Devonta did say one thing during this conversation that I agree with. He said that he was thrown off by the fact that Brittany had already bought a wedding dress before even coming on this show, and it gives desperate, and it does give desperate. It means that she probably would have said yes to whatever man ended up coming out of those pods because she just wanted to be a wife. And I'm sorry, but Brittany needed to stand up and stop begging this man to be with her, because he was literally telling her that he didn't want to be with her, that he didn't think that they were right for each other. In so many words, that's what he was saying. And by his actions throughout this show, you can tell that he was uninterested in being with her. The fact that she was completely oblivious to the fact that he was going to call things off is crazy. Because he's trying to end things with her, because him calling off the marriage meant that he wanted to be done with her completely, but she didn't see it that way. She kept saying that they're still engaged and that she knows that they'll get married to each other one day, and that he's her person and the love of her life. And I'm so confused as to what she's seeing, because from what we've seen, he's barely showed any type of attraction towards her, any type of desire to be with her. He's shown her nothing. It's almost like she was so desperate to be somebody's wife that she was willing to settle for him, because that's exactly what she was doing. He wasn't showing her any type of affection. He barely wanted to be around this woman. He wouldn't give her any compliments, and yet she was accepting that, saying that this is just the way that he is. Yeah, this is the way he is towards you, and you shouldn't accept it if that's not what you want. This man got in his interview and he basically said that she's way too clingy towards him and he didn't like it. So he didn't want to be around her the entire time. And that's his fault too, because I feel like he should have ended things. He knew the moment he met Brittany that he was not interested in her. So why drag it along the entire time? And for her, she should have stood up and she should have ended things in Mexico. So it's Ashley and Alex's wedding day, and I will say Ashley looked really pretty. Her dress was my absolute favorite. I thought it was simple but elegant, and she looked great. But you can tell by the way that she was acting before she walked down the aisle that she was automatically going to say no to Alex. And let me just say this, Alex making all these soccer references during his interview and when he was talking to his friends was kind of annoying me, because that seems to be what he does. He just doesn't seem genuine with anything that he says or does. And he's always talking in circles and never really gets to the point, which is exactly what Ashley's dad noticed about him when they met. Honestly, I'm surprised that Ashley even allowed things to drag out this long with Alex, because I thought she was going to end things ahead of time. But she walks down the aisle and Alex is the person who was going to go first to say whether or not he wanted to marry her, and she stopped him immediately, and she said that she already knew what he was going to say and that she feels the same way, that she does not want to marry him. She basically called this man a liar. She said that every time he tells her a story, they're incredibly detailed, like to the T, and she feels like he wasn't truthful. She feels like he talks in circles all the time, and whenever she would ask him something, he wouldn't tell her the whole truth. She said that in the pods, he pretended like they had the same values and they wanted the same thing, but once they got out of the pods and they had to live together, it seemed like they were nothing but roommates. She just pointed out the fact that he had a lot of red flags, and she said that if this was her a year ago, she probably would have ignored all of his red flags, but now she's not going to do that. And look, I think her daddy helped with her making this decision because he saw through Alex before she could. Alex seemed so offended at the fact that she said that he lacked integrity, but I mean, from what we've seen on the show, he does lack integrity. His actions don't match his words, and he's not honest. We've seen him lie and get caught up in lies plenty of times, especially when Priyanka was talking to him and Ashley. He got caught in numerous lies, so he can't get his story straight. Ashley's dad looked so proud in the audience when she was saying this stuff to Alex and when she decided to say no, because he's the one that clocked Alex before she even did. But Alex's mom, she was not happy at the fact that Ashley called her son a liar, but at the end of the day, he was giving liar. Now, we don't know this man personally, but from what we were able to see on the show and how it was edited, he definitely looked like he was telling some lies. And I see some people on social media saying that Ashley shouldn't have dragged this man all the way to the altar just to tell him no and that he was a liar. She should have waited, but he also could have ended things with her too, because it was clear from the very beginning, from the moment he saw her, that he was not interested in her. He told Brittany that he might not even say yes to her when they were in Mexico, and constantly told Ashley and other people that she was not his type. So he actually could have ended things in Mexico once he realized that she was not his type, but he decided to drag it out as well. So why is she being held to a standard he's not being held to? I don't think she did anything wrong. I think she handled business. I think she did what she should have done. If we're going to say that she was wrong for dragging him all the way to the altar just to say no, then we have to say that Mike was also wrong for dragging Emma all the way to the altar knowing that he was going to say no as well. And Ashley ended up telling her friends after she walked away from Alex that he didn't like her to begin with. She doesn't even think that he loved her because he was constantly saying that he wasn't attracted to her. I think Ashley made the right decision to end things with Alex and say no, because number one, we don't even know what this man does for a living. We don't know where he actually lives at. She doesn't know if he has a home base. She doesn't know anything about this man really. Now, Christine and Vic end up getting married last, and honestly, there was no doubt that these two were going to say yes to each other. Both Christine and Vic looked amazing. They complimented each other well. And I think it was crazy a little bit that she was just meeting Vic's family for the first time at the wedding, but his sister and his mom was so sweet and so warm to Christine, and Christine's family was very warm to them as well. I just enjoyed watching them all meeting each other. And we got to see more of Vic's personality when he was with his friends and his family members. We got to see him dance and smile and laugh, because usually we see him well put together and he's more of an introvert, but seeing him open up a little bit more and show more sides of himself was nice to see too. But I will say, I think it was extremely unfortunate that this season we didn't really get to see much of the two of them. So yes, people were rooting for them, but it was hard to root for them when we don't know anything about them. We didn't get to see much of their relationship at all. But their wedding was nice. Their wedding was one of my favorites in this episode. I think they both looked great, and I hope they actually work out, because it doesn't seem like any of the other couples are. But those are my thoughts on this episode of Love is Blind. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.